Two people wake up late for work. The first one spills coffee on their shirt, gets stuck in traffic, and walks into the office angry and annoyed. They spend the rest of the day waiting for the next thing to go wrong, and it does. The second person does the exact same thing, spills coffee, gets stuck in traffic, walks in late, but somehow they're fine. They laugh it off. They focus at work and end the day with a smile. Same morning, same events, completely different reality. Now, the easy answer to this is personality. Some people are just more positive than others, right? But that's not what's actually happening. There's something more to it that most people never get to see. So here's something most people don't realize about the brain. It doesn't record reality, it filters it. Right now, your brain is receiving around 11 million bits of information every single second. From your skin, your ears, the temperature of the air, 11 million. But your conscious mind can only process about 50 of them. So your brain has a system, a filter, that decides what you actually see, what gets through, what you notice, and what disappears. That filter is called the reticular activating system. And here's the thing about it. It doesn't filter randomly. It shows you what it's already been told to look for. You've actually seen this before without knowing it. Let's say you decide to buy a red car. Suddenly, you see red cars everywhere. They were always there, you just weren't looking. Sounds familiar? The same thing happens with your thoughts. When your mind is tuned to negativity, to threat, to failure, to what could go wrong, it screens out the neutral, it screens out the good, and it surfaces everything that confirms what you already believe. Norman Vincent Peale put it plainly decades ago, change your thoughts and you change your world. Not because thinking happy thoughts creates miracles, but because what you think determines what you perceive, and what you perceive determines everything that comes after it. There's a reason we often default to negativity. Researchers call it the negativity bias. For most of human history, missing a threat meant death. Missing an opportunity, you just went hungry. So your brain learned to treat bad information as 5 times more urgent than good. That wiring kept us alive in the jungle, but it doesn't serve us nearly as well in a traffic jam. But here's where it gets genuinely interesting. When you're in a negative state, anxious, threatened, stressed, your cognitive field narrows. Literally. You see fewer options. Your thinking becomes tunnel vision. Your brain shifts into survival mode and cuts out everything that isn't directly relevant to the threat. When you're in a positive state, calm, curious, open, that field expands. You notice more. You make more connections. You see solutions that were always there, but invisible from the other state. This isn't metaphorical. It shows up in controlled studies. People primed with positive emotion perform better on creative problem solving. They see more possibilities in uncertain situations. Positive thinking doesn't just change how you feel. It changes the size of the world you're capable of seeing. Psychologist Martin Seligman spent decades studying how people explain things to themselves. He found 2 distinct patterns. A pessimist wakes up late and thinks, I'm always like this. This is just who I am. Everything is harder for me. His explanation is permanent, it's global, it's personal. An optimist wakes up late and thinks, bad timing today, I'll set 2 alarms tomorrow. His explanation is specific, temporary, fixable. They clearly have a completely different mindset, and that mindset, not the event itself, is what shapes what they do next. This is the loop. Your thoughts shape your explanations. Your explanations shape your behavior. Your behavior shapes your outcomes. And your outcomes become the evidence your brain uses to think its next thought. You don't just have a mindset, Your mindset has you. The question is, are you building a loop that opens up your life, or one that quietly closes it? All of this is not about pretending, not about telling yourself everything is fine when it isn't, not about faking a smile or denying real pain. The research is clear on this. Forced positivity, like suppressing genuine negative emotion, actually makes things worse. It creates internal tension. What positive thinking actually requires is something quieter, more honest. It's the habit of asking, is this the only way to see it? Not replacing the negative thought immediately, just pausing long enough to ask whether the interpretation your brain reached in half a second is the only one available. Because your brain will always reach for the threat. That's its job. That's what it was built for. Now your job is to decide whether to stay there or not. Every time you consciously redirect, not suppress, but redirect, you make that path slightly easier to walk next time. Not overnight, but over months, over years, the default starts to shift. You don't become someone who never sees the dark. You become someone who doesn't stop there. Norman Peale wrote something in 1952 that still holds. The trouble with most people is they think with their fears instead of their hopes. Your brain will always generate fear first. That's not weakness, that's biology. But what you do with that first thought, whether you accept it as the truth or question it, that is where character is built. That is where a life diverges from what it could have been. You are not just the product of what happens to you. You are the product of what you tell yourself about what happens to you. And you can change what you tell yourself.